I'm Breeze Newell, and you're watching The B.O.S. Company Presents.
How I Learned to Sell Enhanced Tie-Downs. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. No matter what time of day this video finds you, I hope it finds you well. Breeze here with the B.O.S. Company. We provide customized consulting for businesses and individuals who have the willingness to believe, the desire to grow, and the courage to make it all happen. Our goal is to foster a habitual vision of greatness in all that we encounter, and we are here to serve. It's morning time for me. I have my morning coffee, which means I'm ready to talk to you about how I learned to sell using enhanced tie-downs. Here we go. So before we dive in and talk about enhanced or alternate tie-downs, let's talk about classic tie-downs, which we've covered in a past video. Classic tie-downs are tie-downs that allow you to get agreement from the customer with yeses, traditionally at the end of a sentence. So these are isn't it's, wouldn't it's, couldn't it, shouldn't it's, doesn't it's, right? Things where people are saying yes and they're agreeing with you. When we talked about classic tie-downs, we were talking about getting 100 yeses in 100 minutes and how that might be challenging if you're just using yes at the end of sentences. Because if you're talking to somebody in a sales situation or a customer service situation and you just keep saying, this is really cool, isn't it? Or you really like this product, don't you? They're going to eventually pick up on the fact that you're speaking in kind of a weird, unnatural way. We also talked about mixing in open-ended questions. We also talked about mixing in alternative choice questions, things where you're not just tying down your statements, but even with those open-ended and alternative choice questions mixed in there, it's going to seem weird to the customer, super unnatural, and even to yourself if all you're doing is ending your sentences in isn't it, wouldn't it, couldn't it, shouldn't it, doesn't it. That means in order to mix things up and vary our language, we're going to need some other ways to phrase these questions. So we can't just have it at the end. So instead of ending all of your statements with the isn't it, wouldn't it, couldn't it, shouldn't it, doesn't it, you can start your sentence with it. This is called an inverted tie-down. So instead of saying, this product is cool, isn't it? You could say, isn't this product cool? Instead of saying, it'd be nice to learn more, wouldn't it? You could say, wouldn't it be nice to learn more? Isn't it awesome to be able to come here with your friends and family and enjoy yourself? Wouldn't it be nice to get the lowest possible price on XYZ product? So you're just inverting the tie down. So the isn't it, wouldn't it, couldn't it, shouldn't it, doesn't it is at the beginning of the sentence instead of at the end. Now we can also do this in the middle of the sentence. So it doesn't have to be at the very end. It doesn't have to be at the very beginning. You could put it in the middle of a sentence and then you could add on to the sentence. So you could say something like, this is the most powerful product in the market, isn't it? And because of that, we are able to offer it at XYZ price. Or we could say something like, these tie downs work really, really good in the middle, don't they? And you don't have to put them at the end. So by mixing up your language, instead of having the tie down at the end always, instead of having it at the beginning always, and having it in the middle sometimes, you can also vary your language, mix things up that way too. Now there's also something called a tag-on tie-down. What a tag-on tie-down is it's a tie-down to a customer statement. So a customer looks at a particular product and they say, holy moly, that's super nice. And you just add on to their language by saying, isn't it? Or it is, isn't it? Somebody liked these videos a ton and they said, oh my gosh, Breeze, your videos are the best. I really, really find them super educational. They're awesome. I could say, they are, aren't they? So I'm just tagging on to their own statement of fact or their own editorial about their opinion of whatever product or service that they're interested in. So those are all examples of how to get yeses from people. So we can do it at the end. Those are the classic tie downs. Just isn't it, wouldn't it, couldn't it, shouldn't it, doesn't it. At the end of a sentence, you can do it at the beginning, the inverted tie down. All of those words are at the beginning. You can also do it in the middle. And then we have our tag-on tie downs where you're just tying down a customer statement. Now what we're going to do is mix things up a little bit and we're going to talk about a reverse tie down, or what Chris Voss calls a no question. No questions are super interesting because you're still gaining agreement, but you're actually gaining agreement through a no instead of a yes. And what Chris Voss says, the philosophy behind this is that customers have kind of gotten beaten to death by yes over the years just because this is a sales strategy that's been around for 40, 50 years. And They kind of know what's coming. They kind of know what you're doing. They kind of know why you keep saying, isn't it? Or wouldn't you agree? Or, right. So what he decided was when he was negotiating in hostage situations was that yes is basically meaningless. It's useless, especially in a situation like that. And he needed a better way to gain agreement. And so what he started to use were reverse tie downs or no's, or what he called calibrated no's. So what he says is a calibrated no, a customer saying no but actually meaning yes, is worth 5 yeses. So let me show you how these no questions work. Instead of isn't it, wouldn't it, couldn't it, shouldn't it, doesn't it, right? To get agreement, what you're going to do is you're going to say things like, would you be opposed to? Are you against? Have you given up on? Is it a ridiculous idea to think? Things like that. That's how you're going to start your sentences. You could even end your sentences this way too. So you can invert them. You can have them at the end like a classic tie down. And what it would sound like is, would it be a ridiculous idea to think that you're gaining value from watching these videos? Someone would say, no, that's not ridiculous, which actually means that they are seeing value in the videos. They mean yes. Where this is extremely effective is when you're following up with people. So let's say someone is kind of ghosting you. They're a prospect that was once interested in your product or service, and they didn't purchase at the time, and now you have to follow up with them, and they're not getting back to you. So what you could do is you could leave them a voicemail or shoot them an email or a text or something and say, have you given up on your search? And if they say, no, I haven't given up on my search, or no, I haven't given up on the idea of using your product or service, what they mean is, yes, I'm still interested, right? I've just been busy. I'm not trying to ghost you intentionally. So now that we have some different ways to gain agreement through tie downs, whether they're classic tie downs, enhanced or alternate tie downs, or even reverse tie downs, let's actually mix in some open-ended questions and some alternative choice questions in here too. And let's use just a super easy example of getting coffee. That way you can see the flow of how these work and the different effectiveness levels of these different strategies. So the first way to do this might be to say, do you want some coffee? That's an open-ended question, right? Not as effective as you'd probably want it to be. So let's think about a different way to ask this. You could ask it as an alternative choice question, where you can give them an either or, you can give them a binary. So you could say, man, it would be really nice to get some Starbucks or some Dutch Bros right now. And you're giving them 2 choices. So you could ask an open-ended question, hey, do you want to go get some coffee? That's not as effective as maybe you'd want it to be, because who knows what the answer is going to be. You could say, man, what sounds better, Starbucks or Dutch Bros? That's not really giving them the option not to get coffee. You're just giving them 2 choices. Or you could use a classic tie down and say, man, coffee sounds really good right now, doesn't it? And you're just tying it down to gain agreement, and they'd say, yeah, it does. You're kind of inceptioning that idea into their mind of let's go get some coffee. Or we can use our reverse tie down and our no question, and we could say, would you be opposed to going down to Dutch and grabbing me some coffee? And they're saying, no, I wouldn't be opposed to that, which means, yes, I'll go get you some coffee. So we have an open-ended question. We have an alternative choice version of this, where we're giving them 2 options. We have a classic tie down where we're just ending it with a yes. And then you're finally having the most enhanced version of this, which is the no question, where you're gaining agreement through a no when you say, would you be opposed to go grabbing us a couple of coffees? So you see how these different methods and different forms of questioning can work and the different effectiveness of each. That wraps up our tie down segment, specifically alternate or enhanced tie downs. Use these in business and in life to gain agreement from anyone that you're talking to. I really appreciate everybody watching these videos. As always, if you want to work with the B.O.S. company, there's going to be info in the show notes about how to actually contact us, work with us. Also at the end of this video, there's going to be a QR code that you can scan. It's going to give you ways to follow us, like, subscribe on socials, reach out to me personally, email me, text me, all those things. That way you can work on your business, not just in your business, and let me help you transform your business and change your life. Until next time, cheers.